To be honest, our seeking of pleasure is the devil, okay? It is the work of the devil. If you read Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill, he talks a lot about this, that these earthly pleasures that we just get addicted to and crave and go too far with and let it like consume us. It is essentially the work of the devil trying to take us off the path to enlightenment or the path to higher consciousness, the path to achieving our dreams, our ambitions, and instead, make us stray and follow his word, okay? And basically be a slave to the devil. Things like alcohol, nicotine, basically any pleasure you can think of is made by the devil in order to lure people in. All right, and then they get addicted and they just get more and more indulged in these things, whether it's, pornography, drugs, sex, like anything that just triggers dopamine hits and constant easy reward systems can be said to be the work of the devil. So what Stoics do is they pretty much advise to renounce all pleasures, like do not seek pleasure, shun pleasure, be disgusted by pleasure, like do not in any way hold it to a high degree. And I truly believe that's like the way to a happy life. Because when we're constantly seeking these pleasures, hitting these dopamine reward systems, we're kind of like increasing our tolerance for what we find satisfying. All right. For instance, the first time you smoke a cigarette, you might get like a high, you might get an incredible buzz off it, and you might feel really stimulated. But, you smoke enough cigarettes over a long enough period of time, years later, that single cigarette doesn't do it for you. Now, it might take a whole pack in order to feel the same stimulation. So the tolerance goes up with alcohol. You start drinking every day, you'll notice one shot doesn't do anything to you anymore. And you might need a whole bottle. The same can be said for any earthly pleasure, is like when you just indulge further and further, you'll need more and more and more to achieve stimulation, to achieve some kind of gratification. And the Stoics say that any artificial desire or any artificial need can never be satisfied. Therefore, it is evil. For instance, natural needs are need for water, need for food, need for sleep. Like these things are natural. They are built into us. But things that are, conditioned into us, like the need for nice car, cool clothes, need to fuck a lot of women, the need to, do this or that, something that can never be satisfied or satiated is an unnatural need and is essentially like evil. Okay, because there is no ceiling. You're just going to want more and more and more and more, and it consumes you. So there is no point at which you reach satisfaction or happiness, because it's always raising. The bar's raising, the bar's raising, and you're always looking at others, and there's always going to be somebody who has more than you. All right, no matter how much you achieve, become a decamillionaire, there's somebody who's got 100 million. You finally get 100 million, somebody who's got a billion. There's somebody who's got 10 billion, there's somebody who's got 100 billion, etc. Like there's always somebody who has more than you, more power, more women, more nice things, bigger house, newest iPhone, etc., etc. So when we're constantly living this hedonistic mindset, the Stoics call this philosophy of life like enlightened hedonists, where their entire goal maneuvering through life is just to be hedonistic and just to consume and to consume more and more and more and just always consume. And they believe that if they achieve more, they'll be happy. If they just level up more, they'll be happy. But pretty much you're conditioning yourself to be like not content at all times. You think, okay, in the future when I achieve this, I'll be content. Or when I achieve this, I'll be content. But then when you achieve that, you're miserable again. Okay, you're depressed again because you're finally here, but now there's even more you can achieve. And now you don't want to stay stuck here, because then what purpose is there to your life now? You've already achieved your purpose. You've reached it. Now what? So naturally you're going to aim higher and aim higher. This isn't to say that you shouldn't be an ambitious person who tries to achieve their potential and everything they can in life. But achieving these, like, latest trends and fucking following up with like nicest clothes, nicest cars, most amount of money, trying to impress others is not a sustainable way to live. Because for one, you can't control what people think of you. All right. At least long term, you can't. It's always changing. All right. All you can control is your efforts and your own mindset, your own thoughts and feelings. So when you're constantly trying to live up to others' expectations and surpass others and just more and more and more, you're always going to be like not content. You're always going to be just hungry for like more. For you'll be in this greedy mindset, constantly craving bigger and better. But it's just an endless cycle that will consume you. And then these people, all they have left is just their stuff as a reflection of their self-worth. They believe that everything that they are is based on how much they have, how many girls they fuck, how much money they have, how big their house is, how popular they are, how many friends they have. But really, that's at the expense of your character. See, you're just going to, at the end of the day, stay miserable because your stuff can be taken away from you. And then what? So you're just like this hamster on the wheel, constantly trying to do bigger, better, bigger, better. When the truth is that you can be happy right now by realizing that there are those who have less than you. All right. Realize that you might be unhappy with your $60,000 a year salary, but then there's somebody making $30,000 a year. There's somebody who's broke and homeless. And, even if you're, let's say, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, essentially, you have to condition yourself to always be happy, never sacrifice your ambitions, but at the same time, appreciate what you have and learn to desire what you have rather than taking it for granted. Because that's what these people who tend to achieve a lot in life financially do, is they take what they have for granted and then it's never enough. Fucking $300 dinner isn't enough because they could be having $1,000 dinner, or they take that for granted, or they can't just have a fucking simple coffee with friends because it's just not extravagant enough. It's not like wow factor enough. So when you keep upping it and upping it and upping it, like, it's never enough. It's just always an endless cycle of trying to up it and up it, but that's not sustainable. And at the end of the day, nobody really gives a fuck about you. They just give a fuck about your things, your stuff. And like, you might impress them for a moment, but then they'll go back to their own lives and they won't truly care about you as a person. Like, your character is lacking there. All you are is your stuff, your things. And you'll have people that come into your life and use you for those things. And that's just what I've seen among like peers and stuff like that, who become very consumed by hedonism, is that they believe that expression of love is just buying nice expensive things when it's not. Or friendship is just providing nice things for your friends so that they like you more. Or, just trying to impress a girl by buying her nice things and showing off. But you're going to get these opportunistic fucks and gold diggers who will come into your life, take you for everything you've got, and then when they can't take anymore, they'll peace out. Or they'll cheat on you on the side, get their sex life handled and that part of their own desires handled, and you're just kind of like the provider. So I'm kind of ranting because I'm a little bit sick and I've got a bit of a foggy mind right now. So it's hard to keep a proper train of thought. But these are things you have to consider. Is strengthen your character and learn to be happy where you're at. Learn to practice gratitude for what you currently have, because it can be a lot worse. And you could lose the very things you have and be in a significantly worse situation. Loved ones can die. You can go broke. You could be homeless. You could fucking just die of a sudden heart attack. Like, there's so many bad things that could happen all of a sudden. So be happy with what you do have. Don't sacrifice ambition, but change your perspective of what is important. All right. And what represents your character. It's not stuff, it's not physical things, it's not monetary value. It is your ability to overcome adversity, self mastery, having, discipline and willpower and just strength of character, resilience, being humble and appreciative. All right. And squashing the ego, essentially having no ego. All right. Zero desire to impress anybody because everything's temporary. Even the people in your life are very temporary. Like, if you're in this fast-paced lifestyle where you're in clubbing culture and you're involved with party people and promoters, or just all of the quote-unquote cool people trying to be seen, trying to be the big shot in that circle, like, it's very fleeting. These are very fake and temporary fair weather friends who come and then they go. It's not lasting relationships. And the things that they value too tend to kind of seep into you, and then you adopt their character traits and adopt their views on the world, and you essentially become toxic when you're around these people too much. So that's why I've gravitated more away from club culture, party culture. Like, it's worth it to experience at a point in your life and to be around, just to kind of see what it's like and to see different types of people and kind of see their perspective on life. But when it's done, it's done. That's it. Cut the cord, move on, and don't be around these people because they're toxic motherfuckers. And yeah, essentially, fuck wearing like Gucci, Louis Vuitton, fuck driving the nicest cars, fuck trying to flaunt your nice house or nice things, or having the biggest, most extravagant, parties, or just being the top dog or the hot shit, because it's never going to be enough. All right. You're always going to be not content, and you're always going to have to figure out a way to top the last time that you did this, or like the last thing that you accomplished. How can I get bigger, better? And if you can't, then you're miserable, you're depressed. You realize that you can't live up to that. All right. And you're setting unrealistic expectations for yourself, because all that is truly permanent is your character. All right. Is like your mindset, is your self mastery and your control over emotions. That's what's really lasting, not these physical things, not your popularity, not your reputation among others. So, in a way, I've become more of like a social recluse, and I tend to avoid people more. Not because I'm shy or because I'm just like some kind of emotional trauma, but mostly because I've learned to like my own company. And before, I used to hate it. I could not be alone with my thoughts. I could not be sitting and just reading a book and be happy. I always had to, go party on a weekend or something. Otherwise, I felt like I wasn't, living it up in life. But the truth is, I was wasting my life more going to these parties and fucking trying to keep up with these people who are constantly just judging and comparing and fucking. It's just this big insecurity pile, especially Toronto. Like, that's kind of what this place is. So I try to keep a distance, and try not to associate with these people, or as little as possible at least. And you guys can have like successful social lives and successful sex lives or whatever without having to be deeply involved in, hedonistic culture, in club culture or whatever. Like, you can go and meet girls by day gaming, hit up the mall, hit up bookstores, whatever, and just talk to strangers and practice social skills there. You don't have to specifically meet people from nightlife environments. Okay. But yeah, I think I'll end this video here. Hopefully you guys got some wisdom from it. And that's about it. Talk to you later. Peace.